A man believed to be in his late 30s is in critical condition at the Kasoa Polyclinic after he was allegedly assaulted by a mob over a suspected theft incident at Kasoa Walanta Junction in the Awitas-Senya East municipality. According to eyewitness accounts, the man was caught while attempting to remove the motor from a refrigerator that had been brought to a repair shop in the area. He was reportedly apprehended on the spot and subjected to severe beatings by some residents before police arrived. The owner of the repair shop, Sylvester Awugya, told Adam News that his business has recently experienced a series of thefts, which heightened emotions when the suspect was caught allegedly stealing refrigerator parts. Officers from the Kasoa Divisional Police Command later intervened, rescued the man from the mob, and rushed him to the Kasoa Polyclinic. He is currently receiving treatment and remains in critical condition. Police are expected to investigate both the alleged theft and the mob assault as part of ongoing efforts to curb vigilantism in the area. Private legal practitioner Kwame Akufo says the Attorney General AG remains constitutionally empowered to enter a null prosga in cases being prosecuted by the Office of the Special Prosecutor, OSP, insisting that the anti-graft body does not enjoy absolute independence under Ghana's constitutional framework. Speaking on Joy News File, Mr. Akufo argued that although the OSP was established to independently investigate and prosecute corruption-related offenses, its authority ultimately stands on the shoulders of the Attorney General, whose prosecutorial powers are firmly entrenched in Article 88 of the 1992 Constitution. The idea that the OSP can work entirely on its own, without any direction or intervention from the Attorney General, for me, is not proper law, he said. Constitutionally, the Attorney General is the only person mentioned and authorized with prosecutorial power. A subsidiary legislation cannot hive off constitutional powers and give them to the OSP. His comments come amid renewed public debate over the scope of the OSP's independence, particularly following recent high-profile corruption cases, and questions about whether the Attorney General can discontinue prosecutions initiated by the Special Prosecutor through a null prosga. Akufo, who said he opposed aspects of the Office of the Special Prosecutor Act when it was first introduced under former President Nana Akufo-Addo, maintained that attempts to transfer part of the Attorney General's powers to the OSP without a constitutional amendment were flawed. I was one of those who said it was unconstitutional to the extent that it sought to hive off Article 88 powers, he stated. You cannot take part of the Constitution and give it to a third party through a subordinate law. The Director of Legal Affairs of the New Patriotic Party, NPP, Gary Namako Marfo, has urged young lawyers and law students to demonstrate fidelity to the law and strive for mastery in their chosen field. Speaking at this year's annual General Conference of the Law Students Network, LSN, at the University of Professional Studies over the weekend, Mr. Namako said excellence and sound knowledge of the law would earn recognition before political affiliation. According to him, lawyers must be guided by legal authority and scholarship rather than political emotions or propaganda. Lawyers should speak the law and back it with authority. You cannot rely on propaganda or political sentiments and expect to be taken seriously, he stressed. Member of Parliament for Akwapam North and former national organizer of the NPP, Sammy Awuku, also urged members of the LSN to remain committed to the party and continue working diligently. He assured the students that their efforts would not go unrewarded under a future NPP government, adding that the party recognizes the importance of young professionals in its growth. Mr. Awuku further disclosed that once the party elects a flag bearer after January 31, 2026, the leadership would actively engage the LSN in areas such as advocacy, policy research, and legal support. Former Member of Parliament for Asante Akiem North, Andy Kwame Appiah-Kubi, advised law students to cultivate humility and respect, particularly towards office staff when they are called to the bar. He noted that clerks and administrative staff often possess practical knowledge that young lawyers can learn from, sometimes even beyond what is found in law books. He also cautioned prospective lawyers to show respect to judges and avoid confrontational attitudes in court. The Imo State Police Command has arrested a 58-year-old man, Vitalis Nwoko, for allegedly killing his wife, Uloma, during a domestic dispute in the Umwagba community of Ahiazumbe's local government area. Police spokesperson DSP Henry Okoye said the victim's sister reported the incident at the Ahiazum Bay's divisional headquarters, alleging that Nwoko assaulted his wife during an argument. The woman was rushed to a hospital but was confirmed dead. According to police, preliminary investigations indicate that a misunderstanding between the couple on December 11, 2025, escalated into a physical fight, during which the woman collapsed. She was pronounced dead at Cecilia Hospital in Ogby. The suspect has been transferred to the State Criminal Investigation Department, SCID, in a wary for further investigation and possible prosecution. The Commissioner of Police, CP Aboki Danjuma, urged residents to report domestic violence early and assured the public of the command's zero tolerance for gender-based violence. In a related development, the police earlier this month neutralized 2 suspected kidnappers and arrested 12 others during operations in Agua and Mikit areas of the state. Arms, ammunition, mobile phones, and the body of a kidnapped victim were recovered. Police say operations against violent crime will continue, while urging the public to provide timely information and speak out against abuse before it turns fatal. MRS and other partners of the Dangote Petroleum Refinery are expected to begin selling petrol at 739 Nigerian nairas per liter, following a fresh cut in the refinery's depot price. The reduction comes 2 days after the refinery lowered its gantry price from 828 Nigerian nairas to 699 Nigerian nairas per liter. Speaking at the Lekki refinery, Dangote Group President Aliko Dangote said MRS would start selling at 739 Nigerian nairas per liter in Lagos from Tuesday, with other partner stations to follow nationwide. He criticized marketers who continue to sell petrol at 900 to 970 Nigerian nairas despite lower depot prices, describing the practice as unjustifiable. Dangote said the refinery is willing to sell at 699 Nigerian nairas per liter to marketers able to load at least 10 truckloads, and pledged to push prices down nationwide to about 740 Nigerian nairas per liter during December and January. He also alleged that some officials encouraged marketers to keep prices high to frustrate the refinery's efforts. He argued that logistics costs do not support current high pump prices, noting that transport within Lagos should add no more than 10 to 15 Nigerian nairas per liter. Dangote further criticized the issuance of import licenses by the NMDPRA, warning that excessive imports threaten local refineries despite his assurance of adequate domestic supply. Dangote denied seeking a monopoly, saying other investors are free to operate refineries. He assured Nigerians that the 739 Nigerian nairas per liter price would be enforced, starting with MRS outlets. The NMDPRA declined to comment on the allegations. The Supreme Court has affirmed the president's constitutional power to declare a state of emergency in any state facing a breakdown of law and order, including the temporary suspension of elected officials where necessary to restore stability. In a 6-1 majority ruling delivered on Monday, the court held that Section 305 of the Constitution grants the president broad discretion to take extraordinary measures during an emergency. Delivering the lead judgment, Justice Muhammad Idris said the Constitution does not spell out specific actions under emergency rule, allowing the president flexibility to stabilize affected states. The case was filed by Adamawa State and 10 other PDP-led states challenging President Bola Tinubu's declaration of emergency in Rivers State, during which elected officials were suspended for 6 months. The plaintiffs argued that the action was unconstitutional. Justice Idris upheld preliminary objections by the Attorney General of the Federation and the National Assembly, ruling that the states failed to establish a cause of action within the Supreme Court's original jurisdiction. The suit was struck out, and the court also dismissed it on its merits, effectively validating the president's actions. Justice Obandogbenya dissented, agreeing that the president can declare a state of emergency, but arguing that such power does not extend to suspending elected officials. His view, however, was in the minority. The ruling clarifies the scope of presidential emergency powers and is expected to shape future debates on balancing crisis management with democratic governance in Nigeria. A senior Nigerian military source has denied claims that a Nigerian Air Force aircraft was on a clandestine mission in Burkina Faso, saying the C-130 transport plane was on a routine ferry flight to Portugal. The aircraft diverted to Bobo Dioulasso after the crew detected a technical issue, following standard aviation safety procedures. The source stressed that the diversion was precautionary and had no link to combat, intelligence or political operations in Burkina Faso or the wider Sahel. The Nigerian Air Force said the aircraft was not grounded by Burkinabe authorities, but was received after the emergency landing. The crew and other personnel on board were safe and treated cordially while diplomatic engagements continued. Military officials described reports of espionage or secret operations as misleading and warned they could strain relations between Nigeria and Burkina Faso. They added that Nigeria remains committed to respecting the sovereignty of neighboring states, while ensuring the safety of its personnel during international missions. Togolese citizens on Sunday celebrated the National Day of Thanksgiving to God JNRD, an annual occasion dedicated to prayer and thanksgiving across the country. In Lomé, the official ceremony took place at the municipal stadium, in the presence of worshippers, religious leaders and several authorities. The president of the National Assembly, Komi Selim Klasu, represented the president of the council for Nassing Bay. The secretary-general of the presidency of the council, Sandra Ablamba Johnson, as well as former Prime Minister Victoire Tomé Gadogbe, were also among the dignitaries in attendance. Held under the theme, "The Lord, the Banner of Togo," the 2025 edition gave participants an opportunity to express gratitude for the past year, which authorities described as one marked by protection and peace. The JNRD is also seen as a moment of collective reflection, aimed at entrusting the new year to divine providence. Initiated and coordinated by the Christian Council of Togo, this day of prayer was held simultaneously in 18 other localities across the country, allowing for broad national and inclusive participation in the spiritual event. Social actions carried out by the state are showing significant progress, according to an analysis published on Monday by the national daily Togo Matin. The newspaper reviews a range of initiatives launched under the leadership of the president of the council, for Nassing Bay, aimed at improving living conditions for the population. According to the report, this progress reflects the authorities' priority to strengthen social protection, particularly for the most vulnerable groups. Several programs have been expanded and now reach a broad spectrum of beneficiaries, both in urban centers and rural areas. The health sector stands out as a central pillar of this social policy. Togo Matin highlights advances linked to the expansion of health insurance coverage and improved access to healthcare for low-income households. These measures are intended to reduce financial barriers and ensure more equitable medical care. Education is another key focus. The daily points to support mechanisms for pupils and students, including assistance programs, scholarships, and investments in school infrastructure. These efforts aim to strengthen human capital and promote equal opportunities. On the social and economic front, the newspaper also notes initiatives targeting women and young people. Financing schemes, training programs, and entrepreneurship support mechanisms have been introduced to promote empowerment and economic inclusion among these groups. Finally, Togo Matin emphasizes the government's gradual approach, based on listening to the needs expressed by communities and adapting programs to local realities. According to the newspaper, this method helps strengthen the effectiveness and impact of ongoing social policies. Relations between Togo and Benin are going through a period of persistent turbulence, driven by a series of sensitive and unresolved issues. From the Rekia Madugu case to suspicions surrounding Lieutenant Colonel Pascal Tigri, signs of a latent rift between Lomé and Cotonou continue to multiply. In Benin, the recent attempted coup against President Patrice Talon has reignited questions. 5 days after the events, one key issue remains unresolved: the whereabouts of the main suspect. According to information reported by Jeune Afrique on December 10, Lieutenant Colonel Pascal Tigri is believed to have sought refuge in Lomé. So far, Togolese authorities have neither confirmed nor denied this claim. If this presence were to be confirmed, it could further strain an already fragile diplomatic relationship. Tensions between the two countries are not new and rest on several sensitive dossiers. One of the main sources of friction remains the Rekia Madugu case. A former close associate of the Togolese president and a leading figure in the Beninese opposition, she was sentenced in December 2021 to 20 years in prison for financing terrorism. Despite regional mediation efforts, her release has never materialized. fueling lasting misunderstanding between Lomé and Cotonou. Added to this are accusations of destabilization. In 2021, Beninese lawmaker Rachidi Badamassi claimed he had been approached in Togo to take part in a plot aimed at weakening Benin's institutions. No formal evidence was ever produced, but the statements deepen mistrust at the highest levels of both states.